Hi, my name is Aya, you're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to do a book haul. I have about 20 books that I've hauled in the last couple of months, so let's just go through them. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't, and this is really going to be in no particular order. Actually, yeah, I'm going to start with the paperbacks and then end with the hardcovers. Some of the hardcovers are drop dead gorgeous. So the first books I'm going to talk about are the two books in the Windy City series by Liz Tom Ford. So the first one is Mile High. This series is a sports romance series. The first one follows Xanders, who is a professional hockey player, and we follow Stevie, who is a flight attendant, and she's basically the flight attendant of his hockey team. He's used to people or women fawning over him and like being in love with him right away, and she's not impressed by him at all. So he's on a mission to just push her buttons during the flight. And the flight attendants are not allowed to fraternize with the hockey players. So that turns into a forbidden love story, and I really love this one. And then next is The Right Move, and this follows Stevie's brother, Ryan, who's a professional basketball player, and we follow Stevie's friend, Indy, who's also a flight attendant on the hockey team's plane. And it's their love story. Basically, Indy's boyfriend cheated on her, so she has no place to stay, so Stevie asks Ryan, not really asks, basically demands that he take Indy in. So they start living together. He reluctantly agrees, so they kind of start off on the wrong foot. And Ryan also needs like a fake girlfriend to convince his general manager that he's a family guy, that there's more to him than the sport. So he asks Indy to become his fake girlfriend. So this basically has some of my favorite tropes. Roommates, turn to lovers, and fake dating. So this I also really loved. So yeah, if you've not read this series yet, I would highly recommend it. The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays. I've not read a book by Ella Mays yet, and she recently got picked by a traditional publisher, so I bought this one. I don't know if I prefer these ones over the indie published versions, but oh well. This is another sports romance, and this follows, I believe, a football player, an American football player. Okay, so basically in college, she kissed him because of this dare, but he kind of rejects her and tells her he has a girlfriend, but they make this pact that if they come across each other again and they're both single, they'll definitely kiss. So we follow them 2 years later and kind of their love story. Yeah, Ella Mays' books are pretty cheap for some reason, so I figured I'll just buy one of them whenever I feel like it. I really want to read Marriage for One by her, so I think that's going to be the next book I'm going to buy. I was in a bookstore the other day and I found this book, which is Mr. Impossible Book 2 in the Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. The first one being Call Down the Hawk, and this is basically a spin-off from her Raven Cycle series, which I really loved. The reason I bought this one is because this was a signed edition. And I found out that Maggie was actually in that bookstore a couple months ago. I really hate that I didn't know that, because I would have 100% went to that signing. Anyway, I cannot tell you a whole lot about it. This series follows Ronan. He had this power to go into dreams and take stuff from dreams and stuff like that. So I've not started this series yet, and the only reason I bought it was because it was signed, and I really love Maggie Stiefvater, so I really want, like, the fact that I saw a signed copy of one of her books, I just bought it. But yeah, this is a series I still need to start. Next, I bought two Emily Henry books, the first one being Book Lovers. This is a story about Nora, who's a literary agent, and Charlie, who's an editor, and they started off on the wrong foot because he was pretty rude to her about this author that she's an agent for. And then we follow, I think 2 years later maybe, or a year later, where her sister wants Nora to go to this small town. Nora is this big city girl who loves the big city, and she's had a couple of ex-boyfriends who went to go to a small town for some reason and fell in love with like a small town girl and broke up with her. So she really doesn't want to go to the small town, and she's, like I said, she's used to the city. She doesn't want to leave the city, so she goes to the small town with her sister. There she finds Charlie, who she's only known in New York. She finds out that his family actually lives there, and he really wants to edit this book from the same author that he snubbed years ago. It's a love story. This felt a little bit more women's fiction-y than a romance. I read this one and I really did like it. Then Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is my favorite Emily Henry, actually. And this does feel more romancy than women's fiction. We follow Harriet and Wynne. This is second chance romance because Harriet and Wynne are actually broken up. They have been broken up for like 5 months now. And their friend group is used to going to this certain cabin or like this certain house every single year. And this is going to be the last time that they can go to this house because the father of one of her friends is going to actually sell it. So because they don't want to ruin this last trip, they pretend that they are still together. So this is basically fake dating in a way. And this I really, really loved. I loved Harriet, I loved Wynne. So basically in this story you see how they are now and you see flashbacks of their life, how they met, how their relationship evolved, and eventually how it broke down. It was really, really, really good. I would highly recommend this one. Powerless by Elsie Silver. So I've been reading a book a month from the Chestnut Spring series, and this book I bought to read in August, and right now as I'm filming it, it's actually one of the last days in August. I still have not read this yet, but this is going to be my next book. This is another hockey sports romance. We follow Jasper, who's a friend, like a best friend, almost like a son of the Eaton family. And we follow Sloane, who's the Eaton's cousin. And they have been liking each other for a while now, but she gets engaged to this other guy and he's invited to the wedding, but she decides to do a runaway bride situation on her wedding day, and she basically flees with Jasper, and it's their love story. Jasper is an interesting character. He's very mysterious, so I am very much looking forward to reading more about him and getting to know him a little bit more. Then I bought the Dreamland Billionaire series. So I was not actually supposed to buy these, but I saw them and they were pretty cheap to buy the set of them, so I figured let's just do it. This follows 3 brothers, and their grandfather died and left them each a task in his will to complete before they get like the inheritance. And the Dreamland is basically like a Disneyland type place. So the first one is a like a workplace romance. Rowan works for Dreamland. He has like a pretty high position, and Zara, she criticized one of the rides, so he hires her to work for him, but he's like the most difficult boss. They're gonna fall in love. Sounds really good. One thing I do have to say, I don't love billionaire romance. Like, there's certain things in billionaire romances that I don't really love. So I don't know if I'm gonna really fall in love or head over heels with this trilogy, but since a lot of people love it so much, I'm willing to try it. Oh, yeah, and this one is that he has to get married, and so it's gonna be, I think, a marriage of convenience. So, which I love marriages of convenience. That is one of my favorite tropes. And then the final offer is that he has to spend the summer in a family lake house. And this, I think, is a second chance romance. So very excited about it. Like I said, even though it's not one of my favorite tropes, I am really excited to see what the hype is all about. Then I bought Brutal Prince. So the Brutal Birthright, I really loved. I read them all on ebook. The Brutal Prince, the first one is actually my favorite in the series, actually one of my favorite books. And now they've been picked up by a traditional publisher, so I figured since this is one of my favorite books, let's just buy it. This has beautiful illustrations. Okay, the only 2 I could see are like the smutty ones, but this is one of them. So yeah, Brutal Prince is about the first series, like I said, in the Brutal Birthright series. The events in this book really filter through the rest of the books, because in this book, the Griffins and the Gallows come together because they are rivaling mafia families. The Griffins are the Irish family in Chicago, and the Gallows are the Italian mafia. And like I said, rivaling families, but it has been pretty quiet on that front. But the Gallows decide to crash the Griffins' party, and when they do that, Ada accidentally sets fire to Callum's study. So Callum and his friend go after her, and they break her brother's leg, actually. And the two heads of the family, so their fathers, they get together, and to prevent an all-out war, they arrange that these 2 actually get married to bring peace to the 2 families. So they are forced to get married, and they hate each other. They hate each other so much. In fact, Ada actually knows that Callum is allergic to strawberries, so she eats strawberries before their wedding so that when he has to kiss her, he actually almost dies. So that is basically the start of their marriage. And like, this is a hate to love. These two are fiery together, and I love how they come together. It is such a good book. Unbreakable by Melanie Harlow. This is the fourth one in the Cloverleaf Farm series. I've not read this series yet, but I'm slowly collecting them because I really love these covers. And I don't know, I think I was scared that they were gonna get rid of the people covers because in her newest series, she started out just publishing the discrete covers. Now she's changed her mind. So now my fears are a little bit lessened, but I really want to collect them because I do really love these covers. Cloverleaf Farms is this small town romance series following these, I think, different sisters, and this whole farm. And I do know that there's a spin-off, and like she created this whole world revolving Cloverleaf. Yeah, and I do own Irresistible, the first one, on ebook. So I think since this is a big series and I don't want to start a big series at the end of this year, I think I'm gonna definitely start them at the beginning of 2024. Next, I bought 2 books in the Hathaways series. The first one is the actual first book, Mine Till Midnight. The Hathaways are this family of 5 siblings, 1 boy, 4 girls, and each of them finding their true love. Basically, the Hathaways are this family that has grown up basically middle class until Leo, the heir and the only guy, inherits a title because everybody else died. So there's basically a curse on this title. And Leo, he is not fit to do anything because in his past, something tragic happened, and the only thing he's been doing now is drink, gamble, and not have any responsibility. So Amelia, who's the oldest girl, she goes after him in London to get him back from this gambling den, and there she meets Cam Rohan, and their love story starts. So basically the Hathaways, even though they are titled, they don't really have a whole lot of money. So that kind of changes when Cam, who is a Romani guy, he basically thinks that he's cursed because I believe the Romani, they cannot really have a whole lot of money or lands. But every time he does some sort of investment, since he's very good at it, he just gets money. And marrying into the Hathaways really allows him to spend all that money on them. So this is the first one. I really love this one. And then I bought the fourth one, which is actually my favorite in the Hathaways. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. This actually follows Leo's story, so the only guy. This is a hate to love. In the second book, the Hathaways hire this companion to teach the youngest two how to come out in society. And Leo, he's this rake, and like I said, even though he changes slowly in these books, he's still not the person who's the most responsible person. So Catherine, the companion, kind of hates him because of that, and he hates her because she's this prim, proper person who never really does anything like scandalous. So basically in this book, they come head to head, they fall in love, and like I said, it's my favorite book in this whole series. Even though I gave all of them 5 stars, I really, really love this historical romance series. It's actually one of my favorite series of all time. Then I bought the 3rd and 4th book in the Lore Olympus series by Rachel Smythe, this Hades and Persephone retelling, and it actually started as a webtoon. It's still on webtoon, so you can read it for free, but I really love collecting these hardbacks, and I prefer reading my graphic novels in physical form as opposed to online. So yeah, these are just the 3rd and 4th one. I can't really tell you a whole lot about these volumes, but I can show you illustrations. So basically you follow all these gods, and every god kind of has a different color. So Hades is blue, Persephone is pink, and then like Zeus is purple, stuff like that. I really, really have been loving reading this graphic novel series. Last 4 are beautiful hardbacks. Like I said, the first one is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. So even though I've not read the first one yet, I know she has been picked up by a traditional publisher, and I really wanted this book to match the first one because they are a duology within this whole series. So I really wanted at least this one to match. Plus, I do think they're beautiful because look at this. So I figured, I'm sure the traditional published ones are beautiful as well, but since I bought the first book as the indie hardcover, I really wanted the second book to match. This is a world of vampire. This is fantasy romance about vampires, and there's like this Hunger Games-esque tournament in the first book. I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know Carissa Broadbent is very popular, and I really want to get into reading her books. I actually also own her other fantasy romance series. And I've just been hearing amazing things about this author and her fantasy romances. Next is the second book in the Green Creek saga by T.J. Klune, and it's Raven Song. So this is the sequel to Wolf Song, which Wolf Song is my favorite book, one of my favorite books of all time. And I've been meaning to read Raven Song, but around the time that I read Wolf Song was when the series got picked up by a traditional publisher. So I've been waiting years to buy this one. I could have bought it on ebook, I realized that, but the ebooks have become very expensive for this series. And this, you follow Gordo and Mark, who we found out a little bit about their story in Wolf Song. This basically, I believe it's going to be a second chance romance, and if it's anything like Wolf Song, it's going to break my heart. But very, very excited about this one. This is a werewolf male romance series. Then I went to Waterstones on my birthday, actually, and I saw these two beautiful Waterstones exclusive editions. The first one is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This has sprayed edges and it's signed as well. This is, I believe, a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in space. Or no, that's not true. It is an Antony and Cleopatra retelling set in space. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I have been hearing great things about it. Like I said, I'm just a simple girl. If I see a beautiful special edition in Waterstones, I will buy it. The thing is, so this is the Waterstones in Amsterdam, and it's very, like, they do get special editions, but I don't know. One of the booksellers told me that ever since Brexit, I believe, it's been getting harder for them to get every single special edition, because I really wanted the Raven Song special edition. They did not have it. So when I saw this one, I immediately grabbed it. Same for this one. I saw these sprayed edges and I immediately fell in love. This is just gorgeous in my opinion. So this is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. I've not read an Olivia Blake, but I've heard amazing things about her. Obviously from, what's that series called? Yeah, the Atlas 6. I've not read this. I've not read the Atlas 6, but of course I've heard great things about it. This one was on my TBR because I do know that even the tradition, like the indie published version, had like illustrations in the middle or inside. And this, I believe, is about witches, and like there's Baba Yaga in here. And I do know that a lot of people really love her writing, and I'm a sucker for beautiful writing. I already flipped through it a little bit, and already I am very intrigued by it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I mainly bought it because of the fact that this is a beautiful edition. But even though that's the case, I am really excited to read it. So those were all the books that I bought recently. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were. Also, I would really love your opinion on which of these I should prioritize of the ones I have not read yet. Let me actually tell you, because I do believe that the amount of books that I have read or am planning to read in the next couple of months are pretty high. So I bought 20. I've already read, let me actually grab them. I already read 9, which are these. Then I know for sure I'm going to be reading Powerless at the end of August. And Raven Song I'm going to be reading in October for sure, because I'm going to be rereading Wolf Song in September to get ready for that. And I also have plans to read the Dreamland Billionaire series this year. That leaves 5 books that I haven't read yet or that I don't have active plans to read for now. So that is a pretty good percentage in my opinion, because I know there are some book hauls floating around on my channel where I have not read any of them. And of course, I did a reaction video of my first ever book haul, which I'll leave linked for you, where the difference between my read and unread book was just embarrassing. Yeah, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.